Hello, welcome to this video. Today we're looking at Google Classroom. I thought it's been a while since I last did a video on it, and I thought it was worth doing it as there's been some changes. So first off, I'm going to go through the whole aspect of how you set up a class and what the features are. So I've created a number of classes already, so I'm going to go into this particular one. I'm going to start looking at how to alter the settings. So we've got a number of elements. We've got Stream, which is your announcement section, that's you communicating with students. We've got Classwork, is your activities, the things that you're getting your students to do. We've got the People section where you can manage your students and the staff involved in that particular class. And then we've got the Marks section where you can look at the grades that students have achieved and look at the assignments all in one space. But before we do any of that, I think it's worth looking at the cog in the top right hand corner to look at the settings that you can alter within your class. So when we click on that, the first section is all to do with class details. You can add the class name, description, a section, room and subject title. We then get to how you invite students onto your course within the general section. So you can enable or disable your invitation code. This means that it could be that once all the students have joined, you disable the code. So if someone gets the link or the code, they can't join after that time. It's where you can copy the link to send out to students to join. It's also where you can see the code that they need if they're joining just with the code. And you can also display the code as well. So potentially, if you were getting them to join via the code in the classroom, you could bring up the code nice and large so they can see it. And then we've got a couple of other things to think about, specifically in relation to the Stream section. So that's the announcements section. And you've got a number of choices. You can choose students can post and comment, students can only comment, or only teachers can post and comment. I prefer to set it to students can only comment. I don't want students really posting. I'm happy for them to comment on posts that I've made, but I don't really want them posting. So that's the one I tend to do, but you can choose whichever one you want. And then you've got a choice of condensed notifications or including showing the detachments or hiding the notifications altogether. I go for the show condensed notifications, and the reason for that is if students are viewing on a mobile phone, it's much easier to see all of the notifications when they're condensed, but you can change that. And you can also choose to show deleted items if you wish. Again, I tend to leave that off. And then the final thing you can do within the settings is you can look at how marks are displayed and add marking categories. So I'm going to save that. So first off, we're looking at Stream. So Stream allows you to post announcements. So as with all of the settings, whether you're in Classwork or Stream, you click on the top and then you can put in your message. So you could whatever it may be. You can add something from Google Drive. You can add a link, a file, or a YouTube video. So if we were to add a link, we could go up and go to YouTube and we could just grab a link. If I grab a link from my channel, I can pick a video, let's say this one on PowerPoint. I can copy that link and I can paste that in there and add link, and it adds the content. And then when it comes to posting it, I've got a choice. Do I hit post and post it straight away? Or I can schedule it for a specific time, or I can save the draft ready to post later. And the final choice I've got is it an announcement for all students, or am I going to just select specific students? So this is a great way to convey information. It could be that you're running a session and there's an activity that you want to do online. You could set this up as an activity. So I'm going to post that just for the moment. And if we scroll down, you can see here's an example. I posted a link to my blog. I've asked them to pick out something and then students have commented in response. So it can be quite a nice way for doing a class activity in a face-to-face class scenario, or doing it as a synchronous activity online. So it's a great way just to get them engaging and commenting on content. So that's Stream, and that's how you can use it. So now I'm going to move over to the Classwork setting. So with Classwork, there are a number of things we can add, and this is where really the more structured activities are going to happen. So if you click create, we can create an assignment. We can create a quiz assignment where there's a quiz activity that they need to complete. We can ask a question, we can add material, or we can reuse a post. And then the final thing we can do is we can create a topic. So you can see I've added a topic here, and then it makes it easier to organize content. So if I was to add another topic, I can type in there. So it could be black and white darkroom and add. And you can see that appears there. If I click on the little dots, I can rename it, I can delete it, I can move it up and down. So I can organize where it appears. But it just makes it easier for the students to see the activities mapped to the particular topics that you're teaching. So if we look at the create an assignment, we can put in the title. Let's say, please complete this activity. We could put in further instruction, and then if we click add, we've got a choice: Google Drive, a link, a file, or a YouTube video. If we choose Google Drive, it will show us the most recent activity. So I love to use Google Drawing as a way of creating activities for my students to do. So I can click on Google Drawing and click insert. And then this is the really interesting bit. What do you want students to do with that particular file? So I tend to want them not to be able to edit the existing one. I want them to make a copy so they can do something themselves. So it's almost like giving students a virtual worksheet. So I like to make a copy for each student. And then when they start the assignment, they automatically are working in a named copy, it names it with their name on it, on their own Google Drive. And then I'm happy with that. Then on the panel on the right hand side, I can again choose, is it for all students? So it could be, if it was a student needing to catch up a piece of work, it could be just assigned to them. I can identify the points value. I can choose a due date and time. So let's say the 7th. I can say where I want it to sit. So let's say I want it to sit in the black and white darkroom topic. I could add a rubric as well. And when I'm happy, I've then got that same thing. Do I want to assign it immediately? Do I want to schedule it? Or do I want to save it as a draft? For the purposes of this video, I'm going to hit assign. So it's just doing that at the moment. I can then close that and we can see there it is appearing on my black and white darkroom. So that's a really nice feature where you make a copy of the file that you've attached to your assignment for the students to work through. We look at the question setting next. You can ask them a question. So you put in your question. I'm not very good at typing, so I'm just going to say James for the moment. But you could put in your question, and then you've got a choice of short answer or multiple choice. And you could put in your instructions. And it could be that you want them to do something. So it could be that you want them to watch a video. So you could say YouTube, and you could search for something and do it that way, or you could just URL. So we could just paste in the URL of my previous one and click add, and that could be a way of doing it. So I want them to watch the video and then answer a question. And again, the ask bit, I can schedule it, I can save it as a draft, or I can just ask it, and I can choose a due date, and I can choose where it's displayed as well. So let's say black and white photography. Students can reply to each other. I may not want that, and a student can edit their answer. I may not want that either, but when I'm happy with my settings, I can hit ask. So that's the question feature. Allows you to ask either a question, a single short answer question, or use a poll or a multiple choice type result. So we've looked at the assignment, we've looked at the question feature. From a material point of view, again, it's just providing them with a resource. So it could be there's a website you want them to look at. So we get a website URL. I'll just use mine for the purposes of this. I could add my link to that, and add link, and then I could say review website, and then the design of this site, and I could post that. Now you see I didn't add it to a section, so it's just appeared at the top. But what it does mean is students can see the type of activity. So in theory I should have just put look at the site and not an activity, because it's just a material, and then you've got the quiz functions. So that's how you can use it. You can set out and organise your content. If we look at the flashhead example I posted, I set it as an assignment, so I get to see who's handed it in and who's been marked. So I click on the handed in. This is what it looks like on the student work page when I've clicked on an assignment. I can see the one that's been marked and the feedback they've received. I can view all of my submissions. So if we dive in, this is what it looks like when you provide feedback. So as soon as you comment by adding text, so if I was to add a text box to add a comment, they would be able to see that viewable in their version. However, if you want to provide a private mark and some feedback, you can add your private comments and then post it, and that's not visible to the student until you've returned it. So as I say, if you comment in the work itself, they can see that if they were to go into their work, but if you add a private comment and the mark, it's not visible to them until you've returned it to them. So having added the comment, we've got a choice here. We can return multiple submissions, or we can return this submission. So we hit return, and they're going to be notified that we've given them some feedback. The other option you've got is the ability, so let's get rid of that prompt. Okay, so the other thing you can do is you can select comment and add a comment there. And then that way it's relating to a specific thing. And again, it's not visible to the student until you've hit return. So there's different ways you can do it. I think using either the private comments or the comments linked to specific aspects that you've selected within the work that they're doing is probably the best way to do that. So having done all of that, we can then go back out of that tab, and we can look back and see both are now marked, but it allows us just to give a summary there. We can also sort by status, so we've got different ways we can filter the information on the work that's been handed in. We can also review the instructions that were given for that particular assignment. So we go back to the training thing. So we've looked so far at Stream, we've looked at Classwork, jump to People. With this, straightforward, we can add a teacher, which means they can also edit and contribute to the class. And we can also add additional students. And if we select a student, we can email them, we can remove them, and we can mute them. So they're the functions that you can do. So that's what we can do with students and staff. And then the final tab that we come to is the Marks tab. This allows us to see all of the assignments that we've created. We can see all of them there, and we can see the marks, and we can see what students have got for what. So it's a great way just to see the class overview of the work that they've submitted and how they've got on. So that's the marks section there. And as I say, if you click on the activity, you can see what it is, and you can see their progress on it. So hopefully that's been useful. The final thing is you can obviously customize the look and feel of your assignment, and you can either choose one of the themes that they've created for you, or you can upload your own photo as well. So there you have it. A nice detailed look through Classroom and how it can be used. My final tip, when it comes to adding classwork and adding assignments, one tool that I like to use in addition to Google Drawing is Google Slides. So if I just click assignment there, and click add in Google Drive, and we can insert. So I click on that, I've inserted a Google Slides. I find it's great as a way of creating activities for students that you can use in the assignment section in Classroom, is create different templates within Google Slides. And because the students, if you select students have their own copy made as part of the assignment, they can work through and complete it. So we've got a crossword clue template, we've got matching pairs which they can drag and drop, and these could be done either in Google Slides or in Google Drawing. Could be what is the word, or fill in the gaps, or it could be odd one out. So really useful way of creating activity sheets that the students then populate once it's been shared in Google Classroom. So that's using Google Slides, but you could equally do the same thing in Google Drawing. I'll put a link to this template in the description below. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like. Remember to subscribe to the channel and join me again soon for more EdTech videos.